Right, we're 10 days away from the 1st of January when he can talk to other clubs, but that is not on Mo Salah's agenda to talk about today. This certainly is. He's gone above Billy Little. That is an extraordinary achievement, Jamie.
Unbelievable, it really is. He's just an absolute phenomenon. I mean, I think I said a few weeks ago, didn't I? He's probably the top 5 players, I would say, to ever play for Liverpool Football Club. And let's not forget, Liverpool are the most successful team in this country. We've had some legendary players, and he's right up there with the best of them.
And you also had him, I think, as one of your best attacking players in Premier League history. We did that last Monday,
do you remember?
Week,
yeah. It might get...
What did you have him as, number 3?
All the Salah fans back on my side now, maybe, but we'll see. But no, listen, him, the goalkeeper, and I think Virgil van Dijk, not just this season, since they've come in, they've completely transformed what Liverpool are. And every season you go into it now thinking Liverpool can compete in terms of challenging for the Premier League and challenging for the Champions League.
Jamie, what do you think we learnt about Liverpool today?
The difficulty when you try to analyse a game when you watch Tottenham is you're playing against the back four. When you look at Tottenham's back four with Dragus and Archie Gray, I felt really sorry for Archie Gray. He's 18. He's played right back for Leeds at times, but predominantly a central midfield player. He gets exposed to playing against one of the best front threes in European football. Dragus, you think is more of a centre back. You got left back it hasn't played a lot of football, so it wasn't their best back four. But what Liverpool did is they just exploited it, exposed every single weakness that they had. It was absolutely incredible. It was relentless at times. The amount of chances, the big chances they had to score, they could have scored 10 goals with ease today, and they just made Spurs look so inadequate. And I think we're talking about a stat that Spurs haven't lost by more than 1 goal in the Premier League this season. Until today, I had no idea. That's an incredible stat. But still, to put the level in and the intensity and the opportunities that Liverpool threw up was just amazing. And the intensity, Jamie said it, they're a scary proposition right now, and if they can keep this going at this level, they're going to be incredibly hard to stop.
Did you feel a bit sorry for Spurs, certainly their defenders?
Yeah, I certainly did. And you know what? Spurs, at the start of the season, we were talking about them being a top 4 side. And, OK, they've had the injuries and they've had a few problems, like a lot of teams this season. But if you want to be up there challenging the Liverpools and the Man Cities and the Arsenals and the Chelseas, they saw today what it's about. They saw today what that's all about. Which is what? They're a long way away from it at the moment, and that's no disrespect. Andrew's got a lot to do. They have entertained this season at times. We've come here and they've played some outstanding football when they've got their best first 11. When they haven't got their first 11, then they're a pretty average side.
I think the problem for him, Les, is most managers find them really entertaining as well.
Yeah, I mean...
Opposition, that is.
What Arnie was saying...
That's the problem.
What Arnie was saying at the beginning, they're attacking football, they're great, they're this, that and the other, because he knew what he was coming there to do. He knew what he was coming up against, and he knew the opportunities that Liverpool would get to.
That press conference from Slot on Friday was hilarious. I mean, people thought he was defending Postecoglou. I don't believe that for 1 minute. Like he was actually...
There was a managers' union, Jamie.
I know, but listen, I actually thought he went too far and it was too obvious. He was desperate for Tottenham to play exactly the same way as they played against Manchester United, and they did, and Liverpool could have scored 10. So what he said in that press conference, honestly, everyone I spoke to, Liverpool supporters, it was obvious.
But you all said it. You all said it before the game. He's not going to change.
No, he's absolutely not. But I think that... And he gets a lot of stick, and we're all in for him at the moment. And some of the things, his decisions he makes, I'm amazed that when he stands in his technical area, that maybe he doesn't just tweak it and say to Pedro Porro, hold on, we'll just hang on to what we got here. Let's get to half-time. Or it was Jed Spencer in that first half that goes running out into areas. Let's just get to 2-1. We've won the lottery. We're in this game still. So they're the little tweaks that he has to make. But I also think the players have to take some responsibility as well. There are certain times in a game when you see things are happening that you go, OK, maybe we've got a really inexperienced back four. Maybe as a midfield player, I won't go charging out. Maybe if someone runs into the box, I might stop him and I might track him rather than putting pressure on an 18-year-old Archie Gray. The first goal's a great example of it. I think that perhaps Sarr really could have done a little bit more just to help his defence. Yes, it's world-class delivery. Yes, it's a fantastic header. But these are the little details that you have to do as a midfield player. They work it really well. They get it out to... Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's got that wand of a right foot. The delivery is incredible. It's absolutely unstoppable. But one thing that happens here, Basuma has got Diaz there, then Papsar comes into the picture. Now, that now becomes your man. Do not let him wander into the box, because you can see Dragosan's got a man, you can see Archie Gray's got a man. As a midfield player, that's your responsibility. Track him, follow him, and make sure that this doesn't happen. Because once Trent's on the ball, you also have to acknowledge the man that's on the ball is one of the best in the world at doing that. I blame him. I blame Sarr. He's got to identify that and track him, because that delivery is unbelievable. If he goes with him, he can make it get body on it, and it might make a difference.
Still a brilliant header.
Absolutely.
It's a great header. And, you know, when we're sitting here talking about making tweaks, we're not saying to Postecoglou, listen, you've got to be more defensive, you've got to be this, that. We're just saying that there's obviously obvious errors occurring week in, week out. And from times, it was one pass and Liverpool were in, one ball and Liverpool was in. That can't be right if you're trying to win games of football. I know you want to play on that front foot and you want to be attacking, and we're not saying don't be attacking, but it's costing you at the moment. Was
that the issue? Was it more a case of today of Liverpool's quality just being too much for Spurs?
Yeah, I think Liverpool were excellent today, and it felt like a statement performance, a performance of champions-elect, if you like. And I go back to what Liverpool did a few years ago at Leicester when they went on to win the title. And we were watching the game up here and they were so dominant, but even at 1-0 you're thinking they need the second goal just to give them that little bit of a buffer. So this was a really important goal, because it just being complete domination from minute 1 to 36, and that was the first time they had that real bit of breathing space. But yeah, listen, it could have been anything today, and in some ways the scoreline really flatters Tottenham. It's probably one when you get out of it, you get home, if you're a player and think that could have been an awful lot worse.
Spurs' goal was a surprise, wasn't it, before half-time?
It was, and as the time it came in, like I said, Liverpool was so dominant at the time. Ball just comes in there, and McAllister was loose on his touch there, and you know, Kulusevski closes him down. Maddison gets this, and you think, wow, against the run of play, Tottenham scored a goal here. What they need to do is, 31st minute, let's just keep it tight. Let's go in. Let's get to the bell at 2-1, and then we'll go in and we'll have a chat about it.
What does that actually look like? Well, we've referenced it a couple of times. But what does that mean in the 5 minutes after this goal goes in?
You just got to keep it tight. You just got to say, we've got ourselves back into the game against the run of play. Let's make sure we don't give something away here.
But look at this. Look at your left back going to press. You don't do that. You stay at left back. Archie Gay gets dragged across. Dragison's in no man's land. And before you know it, it's 3v2. It's situations like that. That doesn't mean don't be attacking, as Les is saying. It means use your brain. That comes
is that the manager saying, look, we could go 2-2 before half-time?
No, but
if he wins it there.
He shouldn't be. Because if anyone's going to score another goal and you continue playing like that, it's Liverpool. You need to make sure you get in at half-time at 2-1 and then go from there, because Tottenham had been absolutely battered. To make that decision as a left-back, and don't forget, it's not on the other side, it's on the side where the manager is as well. Now, you could say he just made a decision. He's just done it. But if your manager's been there for 18 months, those messages must be getting passed every single day. So if situations like that have happened in the past, he's maybe saying, yeah, do that. That's what I want you to do. That message is not in his head. That's not what he should do. He's never getting there. He's got to run 40 yards. He leaves a young 18-year-old kid at the back. You've got to look after the kid. He's not even a centre-back. He's 18. You do that. A minute before and after him, it's absolutely unbelievable. It's what we saw the other day.
Do you know what he does here? He forces Trent Alexander to play that pass. Because if he doesn't make that run in there, Arnold turns and he's got a little bit of time. But because he does that, he's now under pressure. He's just cleared his lines here. Dragison's too far away, doesn't make that, and the ball's in the back of your net.
And the other thing is as well, you've got to remember that this back four, it played together on Thursday night. It never plays together. So you can't say that, well, they've been coached to do that, because they haven't had any time to be coached since
But that's
Thursday.
The mentality of the team, though,
yes, I know,
of the fullbacks to get as high
This is what we're trying to say, that there comes a time in a game when you just use your football intelligence and you just say, and somebody on that pitch has to just say, OK, let's just stay calm for a bit here.
They haven't got people like that on the pitch.
I know they haven't, but it's not. But that's where somebody has to do that, because that can't be worked on. Because Jed Spence predominantly plays on the right and he's playing on the left in this situation. He's just taken that decision upon himself. That's not. The manager's not.
Jamie
told
said
him
it's
to do
on
that.
his side.
Yeah.
Can Ange Postecoglou not in that moment shout no? Just hold your run there.
Well, no, because he's made a decision himself. That's what I'm saying. So it's not always the manager. Like when he goes across Archie Gray, and then Dragisan, who's an experienced defender, tries to win a header, he's got no man's land. That's not. I mean, the manager can't be saying that's his fault. It's just bad defending as well.
What's happened there is they've obviously spoken about this, and they've said whenever Trent gets on the ball, we want you to close him down. But as you said, as a player, you've got to see, I'm 40 yards away from where he is now. I'm never getting to him. I'm never going to get there to affect him enough. And he doesn't. He just carries on going, because that's what he's been told in the dressing room. Whenever Alexander gets the ball, I want you to close him down. So he goes on his way, But he's never going to get there, and Alexander just turns and plays the ball in behind.
It goes back to what we said midweek, and I continue to say every time I watch Tottenham, it's the state of the game makes no difference. It's 2-1, it's a minute to half-time. You play differently. If that was the first 10 minutes of the game and it was 0-0, you're saying, OK, maybe we're pressing Liverpool, and you've got to deal with that at the back, because we want to be on the front foot, we want to press them. It's 2-1, a minute before half-time. You have to get to half-time.
It feels in some way that goal almost sums up Tottenham right now.
Yeah.
It's organised chaos. There's no structure to that, and I just feel that when you're going to play, you've absolutely got no choice. You're giving yourself mountains to climb, because when Trent takes that ball with his left foot and plays it, he just lumps it. You cannot go from there. If he's got his back to goal and Trent takes it inside and boot up the pitch, and all of a sudden they're through on your goal. That cannot happen.
One final look, just for the avoidance of any doubt that you might have.
Look, he got in there.
He's forced him to do this, because if he doesn't go in the manner that he does. Trent doesn't play that ball like that, and there is it's in the back.
So 3-1 at half-time, and shoulders are slumped, the body language around the stadium, the atmosphere's been sucked out of it again, just as Spurs had got a lifeline. Do you think there would have been a conversation, Jamie, in the Liverpool dressing room to be more ruthless in the second half?
Oh, 100%. I think there would have been an element of the manager slot at half-time frustrated that the game wasn't completely put to bed, and this was the goal that done it. I mean, I mentioned to the lads at half-time as well. The good thing about Liverpool in the first half was the fact that Salah hadn't scored, because Liverpool have probably been over-reliant on him this season. So it was nice to see other players get on the score sheet. But we know what Mo's like. He's just an absolute goal machine, a numbers machine. It's not just goals, it's assists as well. And we always know he's desperate to get on the score sheet, especially when there's other people scoring goals.
He looked devastated, actually, when he came
off.
off.
So good by Virgil, that. See the way the ball gets played long, Virgil just drops, gets himself in a good position, and straight away you're through. And then Salah makes a really good run in there. Slides it across. It just doesn't miss. He doesn't miss. It's like he's got it on remote control.
Was it just a case of decision-making when Liverpool kept getting into these positions?
Yeah,
just to pick them off.
And then, as we said, you feel sorry for Archie Gray. It's not his normal position, and it gets dragged out there, and unfortunately, the two passes and the ball's in the back of your net again.
Well, let's have a look at the goals that did put a little bit more of a gloss on it for Spurs. As Jamie said earlier, from a situation of 5-1 and wondering what it could be, they get at least a little bit of pride, Les, maybe?
Well, you was thinking that. And we actually spoke about this and said all of a sudden, if Spurs score one or score two, it looks like 5-3.
They scored great goals as well.
Great goal, that's a great ball in here to Solanke, lovely turn, and I thought it was a great chip, but it just gets a little flick off Van Dijk's head, and a great finish from Kulusevski. And then all of a sudden, gives everyone a bit of a lift. This comes out here. Great ball in by
the stairs, suddenly comes back.
and this is a great finish from Solanke. Great header from Johnson.
What makes it a good finish, this one, lads?
Because it's coming over his shoulder, and it's coming over Van Dijk's head. Look, just peels off him, keeps him there so he can't get to the ball. It's a great finish. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, OK. Just short there. Just short.
What were you thinking then?
I'm still thinking, go on, go and get another goal. And then this again.
Yeah, it's really good. Timing of the run. Liverpool did that a lot. You think of the gap cross earlier on, just timing of that run, the timing of the pass, just to make sure he's onside. And again, I think it was really good for Liverpool that Diaz got a couple of goals as well.
Was it Harry Lime, that one, Carragher, wasn't it? The old Harry Lime, third man run.
And we're watching the most efficient front line of the Premier League right now.
Yeah, but they've got options, haven't they? That's the thing. They can bring players on. You're bringing on Jota that make a difference. You need Núñez. He can come on and add a bit of chaotic factor to the team. They've got so many different options that make them hard to stop. And with Salah scoring the goals and the assists that he's got, that's what you need. And I think that's what probably the difference. If you look at what Arsenal and what Liverpool have more players that can come on and change the game. Arsenal just haven't got that strength in depth that Liverpool have.
Do you think that separates Liverpool from the rest, Jamie, that ability to get goals from so many different sources?
Yeah, you look at Liverpool's bench there, they're bringing Jota and Núñez on. They've got Chiesa, who's still not up to speed. There's probably a lot more numbers there in terms of when you look at Arsenal. Unfortunately for them, Saka, we don't know how long he'll be out. But you think if Liverpool did lose Mo Salah, for instance, and he did for a time last season, they've probably got more options there to come off the bench and make a difference. I mean, there's no doubt Chelsea have got those options if you're comparing them. They're in the title race, of course, at this moment. But that is a worry if you're coming up against Liverpool's goals there.
It's an extraordinary record of form. If you go back 65 games, we mentioned this at the top, so we're going back to Klopp's penultimate season, that they finished unbeaten the last 10 games of that season, then lost only 4 games in his final season, and they get to this stage of the season with only 1 defeat this time. So that's 5 defeats in 65 games. The next best are Arsenal and Man City, who both lost 10 games across that period. And these are the players that have started the most games of those 65. And there's something that ties the top 3 on that list, certainly. Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold, as we know, all 3 whose contracts expire at the end of this season. And we have 9-10 days away, the possibility of any of those 3 players opening negotiations with a foreign club. You're shaking your head, Les.
Yeah, no, because we're talking about how brilliant Liverpool were going forward, and I'm looking at Van Dijk and I'm thinking it's just a Rolls Royce. Him and Gomez today were absolutely exceptional. Never really looked like under too much pressure in the 90 minutes, apart from the ball that goes over Virgil's head for Solanke's goal. Never put a foot wrong.
They haven't got a cleaner's kit, have they?
That's true. But is that one thing that could potentially derail their season if that becomes a problem?
What, the contract?
Those 3 players that have played more than anyone else across that period.
No, not really, because I say Virgil's always he doesn't look ever flustered or tired. He's in magnificent form. He never has to get out of second gear at times. So, I think if you look at what Trent does with the opportunities that he gets, you'd want Conor Bradley to come again, so just at times you can maybe play, because Conor plays at such a high level as well. And Salah's goals and assists, and if he's not on the pitch, you can see he gets angry. He wants to play as many games as he can, but they manage it so well with the sports science department now. They can make sure they get the correct minutes, and nothing seems to be affecting them. The contract talk doesn't seem to affect how they play. Sometimes when players are out of contract in the summer, it can affect them and maybe they don't put in the performances. The 3 of them are playing at such a high level.
You wrote this week in your column, Jamie, I noticed, about Trent Alexander-Arnold. You were quite strong in the fact that of why he should sign a new deal. Tell us.
I think it's more than a football decision in terms of whether it's money or trophies or your career. I think it's more about his legacy at Liverpool and how he's seen in the future. And I think I made the point a little bit, does he want to be seen as almost the way Steven Gerrard's seen? Or maybe Steve McManaman. Now, 2 great players for Liverpool. And I actually feel a little bit for Steve McManaman. He's a friend of mine. He was one of the best players or attacking midfield players in the Premier League in the mid-90s for Liverpool. He went to Real Madrid and won a couple of European Cups, but he's not absolutely adored by Liverpool supporters now, really. And I feel a little bit sad for that, really, because he probably deserves to be, but...
I bet he's not that sad. He's won 2 Champions Leagues there, I think.
Yeah, but, no problem then. But what I'm saying is, as a local player, I just think that feeling, it's a long time living back in the city and how you feel about your club. And Trent's been at Liverpool since he was 6 years of age, so he's been at the club 20 years. I don't think it'd be nice to almost, Liverpool supporters, whether you agree with it or not, to almost have a feeling of, hang on, we're winning we're going for the league, we're going for the Champions League, leaving on a free. What more do you want? Everything's here for you. So
I don't see it that way. I think that's...
Don't you see? I can guarantee you Liverpool supporters will think that. Now, whether
that's fine, but I don't think that should be the case, because I think it's not... Well, a couple of things in it. I think it's negligence from Liverpool that they've got them in this position. You shouldn't have 3 players of that quality to get to less than a year of a contract. Hold on one sec. So if you're going to do that, then you have to respect that he's going to have a decision to make. And if he's a young player that's given everything to the club, he's won the Champions League, he's won the Premier League, he's won every single trophy. If he wanted to go and try a different culture, do something different, go and play... If he wants to go to Man City or Man United, of course, that would, for me, you can't do that. Liverpool's my club, I was there 11 years. But if I was in that dressing room, I would turn around to him and go, I'd love you to sign, but you know what, good luck. If there's a chance to go to Real Madrid, how do you turn that down? And I think because he's a local lad, they shouldn't be put under that pressure. I think sensible Liverpool fans would say, you know what, you've given everything to this club. And in that period, they could have he saved them a fortune, because they'd have had to buy 2 or 3 right-backs. Look what's happened to Manchester City. They've not had to buy a right-back in that time, and they've had Trent playing at such a high level, won everything. I don't see... If he wanted to go, he would... For me, he should go with everybody's blessing, because he's been unbelievable for that football club.
And my point being, he won't go with everyone's blessing. Now, whether you agree with the supporters or not, when you're a local player... Now, if Salah or Van Dijk went for free, they'd actually be saying, oh, brilliant, you've been great for the club. And they actually cost the club money. Trent didn't cost the club money. He's only going to be leaving for what he cost, which was nothing. But I go back to it again. Whether you're Steven Gerrard, Steve McManaman, Michael Owen, in those situations, there's different things that are expected of you as a local player. Now, you may think that's harsh and he's just another player in the dressing room. But as a local player, and I've been there as a local player, and I would never have had a move like that on the cards. But I think to leave Liverpool is difficult as a local player. Now, when I finished playing for Liverpool, I retired a year earlier than if I'd have played for another club because it was Liverpool, because I didn't want to play and the fans be going, oh, my God, he's playing, get him out the team. So I wanted to leave in the right way. So they remembered me in a certain way. Now, if Trent Alexander-Arnold doesn't care about that, fine, no problem. But I think he will, if he stays at the club, remembered as one of the greatest players to ever play for the football club and not far behind Steven Gerrard. If he doesn't, he won't be remembered like that. Now, if he doesn't care about that, that is fine. Yeah. But I'm only telling you what Liverpool supporters will think.
But you get one career to get that opportunity.
The club he's with at the moment, though, are the best in the Premier League and the best in the Champions League.
But you can try to... How can you say, you've got to stay in one job?
I'm not saying
you get that opportunity.
I think where you're coming from, and when you're saying that, is if he leaves for nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
That's where it is. If a young player comes through the system...
How much money has he saved them in that period?
I know what you're saying, but what Liverpool also look at, we've put him on the map. We've given him this opportunity to do what he's done. And I get where you're coming from in terms of he's going to leave that football club for no money. And if you was to sell him now, what sort of money would you sell him for if someone was to come and pay for him?
That's not
his fault.
I know.
It's not his fault, but I'm understanding what you're saying. Why
so that is the frustration. That was a little bit of the thing.
Will be frustrated, but I don't agree that.
So your point really could sign a contract, sign a contract, and then
if I was advising Trent, I would say in terms of it's not just leaving. I think people understand it about the Real Madrid, and Les makes a great point, and I should have made that as I did in the column. That a lot of it is the free transfer. That's a lot of it, and it was probably a little bit with McManaman, but people didn't really understand the Bosman thing really too much then. But it's that feeling that you're leaving us for nothing. Where's our money to replace you? Now, you might not agree with that, but it's just a fact. I would say sign a contract, have a decent buyout clause in there that's not ridiculous, and if Real Madrid wanted to buy you maybe in 12 months' time, 2 years' time,
Jamie, let's make the point that he has been given the opportunity. Should he not feel like he owes Liverpool something? Sign a new contract with a sensible buyout clause.
And he saved them a fortune. I'm not saying that.
By the way, we're talking, this is why but I'm talking purely just as a football person would have been the... I would have gone to you, you've got in this position, Liverpool should have got the contract sorted out. Well, you can't tell me, sign a contract. So if he gets injured, so he signs a year contract and he gets injured, then what happens? He's got an opportunity to go and get a 5-year contract or whatever at Real Madrid and try something different in his life. I've got total respect for whatever he wants to do because he's given everything to Liverpool. And my big point is, people say, well, they put him on the map. He saved them fortunes by having to buy right backs of his quality.
It doesn't matter what we say. We can debate it or whatever.
I think you're being a bit unfair to him, though.
I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just saying I can understand what Jamie's saying in terms of the support.
I know the Liverpool supporters. Every day you're with them. Now, listen, I'm on the street to Liverpool and I know how they feel about it. Now, it doesn't matter whether we agree with that or not. I think if you've been at a football club since 6 years of age, you've been there for 20 years, when you're 40, 50, you want the club to, you still want to be one of those legends. People,
He'll still be a legend, though, won't he?
I know, but there'll be a feeling there.
If he goes to Man United, of course he wouldn't. But that's why he'll be a legend.
Michael Owen. Listen, the Michael Owen thing.
But I don't think it's unfair to even bring up Steve McManaman won 2 Champions League finals. Macca's incredible. What is like? If you ask Steve McManaman...
Something else you said there about negligence from the Liverpool board because 3 players have got to this stage.
Yeah, it shouldn't
You've
have
been
happened.
a director of football. I know you're going to return to that career very soon, Les.
I hope so.
Hopefully. Do you think that's negligence?
Yeah, I think if you've got players that you want to tie up, then you've got to, you now don't leave it to the last year of their contract. That's why people get tied up, 2 years in advance. 18 months is the most you leave it before you try and tie somebody up. If that player's adamant that he doesn't want to sign a contract, don't matter what you're offering him, he's not going to sign that contract. And his idea is going to leave on a free transfer. There's not a lot you can do about that unless you try to sell him early. Now, like I said, I'm not saying he shouldn't leave Liverpool. I'm saying that I can understand the reasonings why the Liverpool fans will say, look, you know what, we've given this boy a platform and now he's gone and we're not getting no money for him. Now we've got, especially with the way things are nowadays with PSR and the financial fair play, if they ain't got money coming in for him How'd you replace him?
The interesting thing is, and I'm not just defending Liverpool on this, the structure of the club had moved away because Jurgen Klopp had that much control. And then as soon as Jurgen Klopp announced he was moving on, so I think that was probably about October, November last season. So Trent's got over 18 months to go. There's no way in the world Trent is going to sign a contract if he doesn't know who the manager is. Now, there was all that thing, who's the manager, whether it's going to be Alonso or different people. Now, I'm not having a go with them because every agent would have done exactly the same. But they were in a position where they could say, no, we're not ready to sign. No, we're not ready. We need to know who the new manager is. And then when the new manager comes in, it's a bit, are we going to be successful? I've got a lot of options out there. Now, the thing is, Liverpool have proven at this early stage to be looking like they could be really successful in terms of, top of the Premier League and got the Champions League. So Trent's advisors could use the situation that Liverpool found themselves in as a football club to, take advantage of his position.
Can I just say one more thing? Because there's every chance he could stay as well. He might stay, and if he does, but I'm just saying, but we shouldn't say that you shouldn't do this or you should. It's his life. It's his opportunity. If he wants to go and play, he's good friends with Jude Bellingham. Going to Real Madrid, I think there's the only club in the world where I can totally get. My God, that's the biggest pull.
Let me put you in Liverpool's position now. You've got the money for one of those three.
Only one? I'd go with Virgil.
He gets the contract,
he gets
despite his age?
Yeah, because he's just imperious and he's still playing at such a high level. I wouldn't want to lose any of them. But if you just said if one of them was to sign, because I think Liverpool have always had an ability. When I was there throughout the years where Rush goes and then Fowler comes along and then Owen comes along and then Torres comes along and then Suarez comes along and then Salah. They just seem to turn strikers into superstars. So they will find some, but I just don't know in world football where you could find someone just to replace Virgil. I hope. Listen, I want them all to stay. I do. But I just
don't. Liverpool fans do as well.
I do. I really do.
There might not be the money there.
Great for our league.
Talking about PSL.
I've also got a lot of respect for someone if they want to go and try a different culture. I think good luck.
Who's your one, Jamie?
I'd probably say Van Dijk, but I'm pretty much certain Van Dijk and Salah will stay. The one worry is Trent because of the situation he finds himself in, but I'm certain the other two will sign. Yeah,
no, that's why I was shaking my head when you did the list and I saw Virgil at the top of it, and I mentioned his name straight away. For me, the way he bosses that Liverpool back line and the way he's just so calm, he would be the one that I would be desperate to keep.
Well, if that's a snapshot of the dressing room, it's not going to be a very happy Christmas, is it, at the Spurs training ground? I suppose we've seen the extreme emotions from beating Man City 4-0 and then that there today.
Yeah, it's really funny because sometimes you see a side get beat 6 and as a player you go, I'm embarrassed and all that, but we're not sitting here really picking holes in Tottenham. We're saying how good Liverpool were today. Do you know what I mean? You'll go home and you'll feel the pain of the 6. As he said, it's painful because no player wants to get beat 6. But
we could, couldn't we? We could pick holes in Spurs.
You could pick. What I'm saying is, it weren't one of those situations.
I think you have a little go on that third goal.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, when you go, that was really embarrassing. It was this, that, and the other. Well, I just thought Liverpool were that good. And so, as a Spurs player, yes, you don't want to get beat. No player wants to get beat 6, but you're not. I'm not sitting there going, well, they were embarrassed. They were this. I just thought Liverpool was so good, so.
Has he got a job to pick them up, Jamie, over Christmas?
Yeah, well, you're getting chin like that. Of course you have, but they've got to. It's a matter of fact. You just have to get up as quick as you can. You've got big games coming up. You're going to have to play Liverpool again. I don't think it'll be the same 11 that we've seen today. I think Liverpool will obviously change players, but yeah, it's not going to be easy for them, but that's your job.
Another 6 goals conceded, and the numbers defensively look pretty grim reading through December. Let's just take a look at those. They are bottom of all these categories in December in the Premier League. Goals conceded, number of shots faced, those on target as well. The expected goals figure against, and that was almost 5 from Liverpool today, and the number of big chances faced as well. It doesn't look good, does it? But what about those circumstances that he is alluding to? Vicario, Romero, Van de Ven, Davis, Bentancur, Richarlison, Udogie not fully fit, Odegaard missing as well. Does that explain what we're seeing here, Jamie?
Not what we're seeing here, because they're just absolutely... They're mistakes that are so they just kill you. And if you're the manager and you're 30 seconds into a game and what had happened the other day with the goalkeeper playing out and he does it again, it just gets everyone anxious, everyone a bit edgy. So no, you can't just say that's the fact. But what I will say is he has got an absolute excuse when you haven't got Van de Ven or Romero. But the other side of it though, David, is if you haven't got them, you shouldn't then be so short of players that you've got to play an 18-year-old midfield player at centre-back that hasn't got that experience. You shouldn't be that short that your second goalkeeper, no disrespect to Fraser Forster, you should have a better number two than him. You know, he's been on, he left Southampton, he was on loan at Celtic, not really played a lot of games. You need to make sure you've got cover in all departments. So I think he has been left short. And you end up with that as your back four because you haven't really invested enough to help the squad.
So should he change his style because of all those problems?
No, I don't think. I think he's taking what we're saying, what people are saying as wrong. I'm saying that at times you have to tweak the game. You know, as a coach, you're watching a game of football and it's not going a certain way. You might have to tweak a thing or two to counteract what's going on. That's what we're talking about here. We're not saying, right, change your total style, go defensive, go 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1. We're not saying that. We're saying play attacking football, but at times there's information that the players need to say, well, OK, the one we're talking about where Jed Spence goes flying in, someone needs to be saying, no, just sit here for a minute. We've just scored a goal. We're in the ascendancy now. Let's make sure we don't give something away. Well, that's what we're talking about, those little bits of information, rather than just going gung-ho. And that's what Tottenham are doing at the moment, just going gung-ho.
The thing that frustrates me a little bit is the fact that if you haven't got your best players and you're talking about an 18-year-old centre-back, he needs to protect him in a game like this. So when Pat asked him, would you do anything different? The answer was almost a case of, well, what can I do? You know, Liverpool are a great team. We've got a lot of injuries. But surely there's something you can try to do. How are you going to stop Liverpool scoring goals today? 24 shots Liverpool had. Nearly 5 on the XG, 9 big chances. But how is that never going to happen today?
Do you think that crosses his mind? How he's going to stop the other team scoring, or how his team are going to score more goals than them?
I think that's his fear, and he said, listen, this anybody won't change. And I don't want to get into this as we did in midweek, because I've never managed a team. He's the fellow who's in the firing line. He's managed all over the world and he's got himself to the Premier League and he's been a brilliant manager at lots of different teams. I just use my own experience as a player and thinking if I was an 18-year-old centre-back playing against that front three, I'd need help. We're not good enough to take them on. So this idea, that almost like, well, what was I supposed to do? You've got to alter things, you've got to tweak things. Now, I looked at Crystal Palace. I commentated on Crystal Palace Arsenal yesterday. Arsenal won 5-1. Great result for them. But for an hour, that game is probably in the balance. You know, Arsenal were always the better team, but something could have happened. And that Crystal Palace team is still not as good as that Tottenham team, even with all the injuries they are. Within 5 minutes of this game starting, we all knew Liverpool were going to win this comfortably. So it was so easy for Liverpool. And no matter how many injuries they've got, it shouldn't have been that easy. And that comes down to the manager not relenting on how he wants his team to set up.
And they've not scored more than 3 goals in a Premier League game this season, Liverpool. So it's not like they've been blowing teams away. But I can honestly say, if they had scored 10 today, I don't think any of us would have been that surprised. They had so many gilt-edged opportunities where maybe just overplayed or the final pass wasn't right or somehow they've cleared it off the line. You just can't afford to play like that. So that then goes back to, if we're not doing the right things, maybe we just change it a little bit.
He thinks they are doing the right things. I mean, this is
yeah,
so fascinating. He's maintained that this style of football is the path to success. He's sort of suggested throughout the conversations in this last week or two that they have to do things differently at Spurs. They have to put young players in the side, blood them, give them the experiences that they're getting now in adversity, which in a couple of years is going to see them on that path to success. Can you see it happening? Can you see Archie Gray growing from this kind of experience?
What, from that today? No. Well, actually, we said before the game, I wasn't a centre-back, Jamie was. So do you think he could get some good experience from here playing, right-back, centre-back? That's not a learning curve there. That's not a learning experience for a centre-back, Jamie. Do you think he's learned anything today?
No, listen, gained something from it in some way, but I'm with you. We all need help. You know, football's a team game, and he was almost left out there isolated, like he was, Virgil van Dijk at the other end dealing with Solanke 1v1. We know we can deal with that, and I just think with Tottenham, I get the idea. It's not about a style of play. if everyone's fully fit and he wants to do things slightly different, and every manager who comes in's got a little different way of doing things. Pep's doing it slightly different than Slot. Or when Klopp comes in, he's got his thing. You've got to have your idea. You've got to have something that's a little bit different, that makes you special, that makes you start off in Australia and get yourself to the Premier League. It's a brilliant journey he's been on, and he's got a way about that. But when you've got your best team, not when you're down to the bare bones, you can't, you have to. And what I would say is, not that I expect Tottenham to win the Premier League, by the way, but nobody has ever won anything playing like that. And Les knows that better than anyone. What I'm saying is it's almost Kevin Keegan-like. The other team I could associate with that was almost Brendan Rodgers with Liverpool, where it was just end-to-end 6-3s, 5-4, and they end up, they just come a little bit short because you've got to respect the opposition. You've got to respect the defensive side of the game.
All right, Director of Football, you got January just around the corner. You've got the opportunity to either sign another 18, 19-year-old of great promise that's going to be fantastic in 3 or 4 years, or you've got one ready-made who's going to cost a lot more, and probably the wages are going to be a lot more as well. What'd you do?
So, what I was going to add to what the chaps had said there was, he said he's not changing his way. He knows what he's building. He knows where he's trying to take this football club, and he has to do this to take the football club to where he wants to take it. Now, that has to be in unison with what the owners of this football club want, what the directors of football here at the football club want. Everybody has to be aligned with that. And if that's what they're aligned with, and they're saying this is the way we're going, then he's going to get the opportunity to carry on doing what he's doing in the way that he's doing it. If they're not all aligned with that, then unfortunately he's going to lose his job.
I don't want to speak up because it becomes a Daniel Levy. But you also have to remember that I think he's had 14 managers in 21 years, which is every year and a half we work on that basis, something like that anyway. So you don't build here. You're not getting the opportunity to build here. So he has to think about the here and now.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if he's so adamant this is the way he's going to do it, and he's not going to change his way, he must be in tune with the owners of this football club, the people that run this football club, the director of football, the owners and everybody else, that this is what he's going to be allowed to do.
You get the odd bit of guidance from Daniel Levy when the financial results come out, and the last time that happened, there was, or the last couple of times there's been talk about youngsters, there's been talking about entertaining and attacking football. There's also the desire and almost the need for this club to consistently have European football as well. Is that almost what he will be judged on? 5th last season, but they have to get there again.
Yeah, well, they'll look at the situation in terms of that first 11. Like I said, that first 11, we've seen that how they can produce the football they can produce when they played against Man City. Now you have to, when you look at Liverpool's and the Chelsea's at this moment in time, they go to a 10 and then they don't drop below a 7, right? And that's the sort of consistency you need to be in that top 4, top of the league. That's the sort of form you need to show throughout the season. Tottenham are dropping well below that.
Yeah. He needs a cup. No, but he needs a cup now because it looks like the top 4 is not out of the picture, because I think they're probably
top 5, Jamie.
Van
might be for Champions League.
And Romero, maybe 6 weeks, something like that from now, possibly.
Possibly, yeah. Maybe
if they win a cup, I stand. That is for him. Will be absolutely huge. The club hasn't won a trophy for so long. That's what he's got to be thinking about. He said a lot of quotes lately, but one obviously was, "I always win something in my second year."
Could be the Carabao, could be Europa.
If they win the Carabao Cup, and you've got a Liverpool side where you don't know where Liverpool's priorities right now are obviously the Premier League, then the Champions League. That's the least of their priorities, the Carabao Cup. So you're going to you might get a little bit of luck with the draw. You're at home first day. Can you get a good result? Then you go back to Anfield. Then you're going to play Newcastle or Arsenal, and you win a trophy here. He'll be legendary status, because that's what the fans really want.
I think he will, but even in a victory like that, even in a performance like that, he still finds time to just pick fault with his team, 1 or 2 members of the team as well. But from our incredible vantage point up here, Jamie, we saw him at the full-time whistle. He looked like the calmest man in the stadium as he strolled across the away fans. There's no great fanfare with him. He seems to be very neutral whether they win or lose. Could this be actually his biggest strength?
Yeah, and you're saying he's not like that when they lose. They don't lose often. I mean, they've lost once in 25 games. I mean, it's an unbelievable
Well, they haven't lost away from home yet, so we haven't seen it.
But I think the thing that I think everyone's almost fell in love with a little bit is the fact that he hasn't tried to imitate Jurgen Klopp in any way. So when you're saying he walks over, he's nice and calm, people really remarked on that in the first game away at Ipswich. It wasn't over to the fans. That was Jurgen Klopp's style. everyone just wanted Slot to be himself, and that's what he's been. And when you're looking at Liverpool, what you want is someone to come in and add something to Jurgen Klopp, not take away. And I think he has done that. When we're looking at that game today from Spurs' point of view, sometimes when Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool was we were watching them sometimes and the result didn't go well, it was a little bit like that end-to-end. There's a little bit more control. So he's kept the best bits of Jurgen Klopp, pressing, being aggressive, scoring goals, but they're better defensively. And that's why I think in his interview there he's frustrated with the 2 goals in the second half. And I said right after the game, that'll be a message that he'll be using. But it's a remarkable start. I think when you listen to little things the players say in interviews as well, you pick up little things as well. I think he's made a big impression on the players as well, and they feel like he's taken the team on as well.
They are top at Christmas. 6 of the last 10 sides in the Premier League to be top at Christmas have gone on to win the league. Is this going to be Liverpool's year again?
You've got a great chance. I think it's still too early to say. A lot can happen. A lot can change. I think obviously the most important thing is that Manchester City, it's not the Man City of the last few years. They're out of the equation.
But what can derail Liverpool from here?
Anything. You only got to have a couple of injuries. Things can change. You lose a bit of confidence. You lose a couple of games. We've seen it before. Anything can still happen. That's why Les would have won the Premier League. He was in this position. They were flying in that period. I also think that one of the things that I loved the most, having watched Jurgen Klopp teams, and I enjoyed him, I loved him as a manager. He was such a talisman, not just for the club, but also for the city. But I always felt, and I'd watch that team, and I would go, as a midfield player, it must have been quite hard to play in that team. Like, I think about maybe the best midfield they had, like with Fabinho in the time, Wijnaldum and Henderson, but they had to work like dogs. They were everything. It wasn't about the midfield. But what he's done this year, by changing it and saying, look, I don't want, whereas Jurgen Klopp would have gone, I want Endo as my 6 because he'll work hard and he'll put out fires and do all the hard work. I want that person to dictate how we play. And he's obviously wanted Zubimendi, didn't get him through the door, and he thought, how else can we play that I can get someone in there? And he looked at Gravenberch, who played, obviously he could play as an 8 and he's played at 6. He's got obviously a lot of potential, and thought, you can be my man. And he runs that midfield. And then they've got obviously McAllister, and it looks like a more enjoyable experience because you just don't have to run on second balls, and it's not just about the front 3. He has made the midfield such an integral part of the game, and they look, I'm not trying to dismiss anything that Jurgen Klopp did, but they're actually a more enjoyable side to watch at times, purely from a connoisseurs of a midfield point of view, because of how they play and how they dictate the game, and having a controlling 6 that wants to play forward all the time and so comfortable on the ball. It's not about winning the second balls, and that's what I've really enjoyed about what he's done.
They've both had a go at you. Have you noticed?
Yeah, but I didn't mean to have a go.
No, dig about losing the lead. Dig about the entertainers.
It can happen, Les.
It's Christmas, Les.
We were 12 points. We were.
So what's your word of warning for this Liverpool
we
team?
were sitting here, we would probably be sitting in that change room in a complacent way, thinking, right, we're 12 points clear, with a game in hand as well, thinking we were going on to win the league. Without a shadow of doubt. And I think someone had calculated it, saying if we'd have carried on winning in the manner that we'd winning, we'd have had the league won by March. All I'd say is don't allow complacency to come in. And when I look at that Liverpool side, I don't see it. Defensively, they're tight. There was a bit of a lapse because they were 5 goals up. But they look tight. Every department you look at in this Liverpool side just looks strong.